Hey Alexa, play Stars from Les Mis.
And if they fall as Lucifer fell, the flames, the sword, stars.
Oh dear God, no, not that version. Please not that version. Lord, please save me from Ben Shapiro's terrible singing. A video about Ben Shapiro. Where do I even start? I could talk about how Ben Shapiro is a bigot who hates every single person that doesn't fall directly into his political ideology. I could talk about how Ben Shapiro is the facts don't care about your feelings dude, when really his facts are just being the loudest in the room, so nobody has any time or energy to counter your arguments. I could talk about how Ben Shapiro's company, The Daily Wire, is currently going bankrupt. I mean, The Daily Wire is shuttering their children's division. Who else is going to indoctrinate our children to having weirdo conservative beliefs? I want my children to be anti-woke no matter what. So thank God for PragerU. But I think the most interesting thing about Ben Shapiro that everybody wants to hear about is that he's a theater kid.
Lord, let me find him.
Yeah, you heard that right. Ben Shapiro loves musical theater. And I know somebody else that loves musical theater. Me. I don't know if you guys could tell by the West Side Story pillow sitting right next to me, but I love musical theater. I studied it in college. I like to think I'm a little bit knowledgeable on the topic. So recently, Ben Shapiro has posted 2 videos, not just one, 2 videos, talking about his favorite and least favorite musicals of all time. And I figured it might be fun to just take a look at what Ben Shapiro thinks about an art form, because God knows he is not opinionated on art at all. And I want to show you guys that Ben Shapiro is just as insufferable as the theater kids who go to Denny's after a show and start performing for the customers. Was I one of those kids? It wasn't a Denny's, that's all I'll say. But first, what's up? My name is Connor McDowell, and I'm currently campaigning to be People Magazine's Sexiest Man Alive for the year 2025. If you like this video, or you think I should be nominated, just click subscribe. 1 subscribe equals 1 vote for me to be on the cover of People Magazine's Sexiest Man Alive issue, something that Ben Shapiro will never achieve, because he's an ugly little mole rat. For some super sexy movie reviews, you guys can follow me on Letterboxd. This week's, and since we're already talking about musicals, this week's movie recommendation is going to be the 1968 film Funny Girl. Now, I'm not a massive fan of the musical Funny Girl. I think a lot of the music is very good, but the stage show just never really did it for me, so I never bothered to watch the movie, and that was a mistake, because this movie is absolutely incredible. Barbra Streisand and Omar Sharif give 2 of the best performances I think I've seen in a movie musical. I haven't watched the sequel Funny Lady yet, but I will very soon. So if you haven't seen it, I think you guys should watch Funny Girl. Also, if you still have it, even though it's a vile hellscape right now, you can follow me on Twitter. I think the funniest thing about Ben Shapiro being a theater kid is that he is a failed screenwriter. Ben Shapiro so desperately wanted to be a part of Hollywood, but was so bad at it and or so racist that nobody wanted to work with him. The most amazing part of his failed screenwriting career is that he is a Nepo baby in Hollywood. You know how fucking bad you have to be as a screenwriter to not make it in that town when your mommy is an executive and your daddy a composer? That right there is a golden ticket that he threw away because no one thought he was as brilliant as he does. You don't even need to be a great writer, which he definitely isn't, to make a good living as a script doctor or just humping it out on shit TV shows. But he wouldn't be the star wonder kid doing that, so he fled as fast as he could when he turned out to not be. Failed Nepo baby, failed screenwriter, so now obviously he has a lot of contempt for art. Hold on a second, I'm just trying to think of another political figure who was so bad in his art field that he decided to take it out on minority groups and also just happens to grow a strong patch of hair right underneath of his nose. Nothing really comes to mind. Sorry guys, my bad. Anyway, this is the moment we've all been waiting for. Ben Shapiro's top 8 Broadway musicals of all time.
We'll start at the top. The most brilliant musical of all time is Sweeney Todd by Stephen Sondheim, book by Hugh Wheeler. In a musical, the script is called the book or the libretto. Now, I don't like Stephen Sondheim's politics. That doesn't matter here. The musical is absolutely brilliant.
I don't like Stephen Sondheim's politics. Yeah, obviously. Stephen Sondheim's an anti-fascist, and you, sir, are a fascist.
The lyrics are quite witty. Some of the music is overwhelmingly gorgeous, just beautiful. This did not play all that long on Broadway, comparatively speaking, because it's unbelievably dark. It's about human cannibalism. It's a horror story. It's done in a creative way where you have the Ballad of Sweeney Todd that's sung by an entire choir, and you have these oddball characters.
What I think is really, really funny about Ben Shapiro liking Sweeney Todd as much as he does is Sweeney Todd is a musical that is quite literally about eating the rich. Like, what does he not get that allegory? Does he not understand that part of the musical? That it's not just a literal story about cannibals and horror, that it is quite literally a critique on capitalism? I guess not. If it's his favorite musical of all time, I guess I'm wrong. I guess I'm wrong about that.
One of the problems I have with Stephen Sondheim is that his early work
was a little too new wave for my taste.
In my opinion, is better than his later work. It seems to me that as he got older, he started despising popularity and hating his audience. It got to the point where he felt like he had to be sophisticated, and because he wanted to be sophisticated, he started making things like Assassins, which had no actual appeal to audiences.
Assassins had no appeal to audiences? What? Dude, Assassins fucking rules. This guy is an idiot.
His first musical, which was A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum, was a big hit. A Little Night Music, which was a huge hit and has great music. He made a really creative musical called Pacific Overtures that's really interesting about the opening of Japan by America. Follies has some interesting stuff. Company has some really interesting stuff.
Yeah, man, I really like Sondheim's old stuff, but as soon as he started just getting more complicated with his stuff, he really fell off. What are you talking about? Sondheim is one of the most consistent composers in musical theater to ever live. Every single one of his shows is complicated. Just because an audience takeaway is that, oh, this show wasn't necessarily great, doesn't mean that it's not, like, actually a good show. So to say that Assassins had no audience appeal is just, like, a brain-dead take. It's just a smaller show than the ones he was used to doing. This is the thing that's so interesting about Ben Shapiro. He loves to critique artists when they do something that is different than what they've done before, which is why he loves Rodgers and Hammerstein, because everything they do is exactly the fucking same.
And then he starts to get kind of more and more obscure as his career goes on. And I think that probably the turning point there was Into the Woods. Once he gets Into the Woods, which is sort of, in some ways, the height of his popularity, he starts to get more and more obscure.
The cow is white as milk, the cape is red as milk.
He starts to get more obscure. Is Into the Woods too complex for Ben Shapiro? Is he just stupid? I mean, we all know Ben Shapiro is an idiot. We know he's stupid. But to the levels of calling Into the Woods, like, obscure, what does that even mean? Also, do not use the things YouTube poop in this. Fuck you. That is for my enjoyment only. You're not allowed to use that, Ben. Throughout these videos, Ben Shapiro will just play an extended clip from a musical and just sit there like this. Or sometimes he'll even mouth the words because he's a fucking loser theater kid. Ben Shapiro loves villainizing gay people while talking about the gayest thing possible.
Alrighty, another musical in which Sondheim was obviously involved, West Side Story, considered by many people to be the best Broadway musical of all time.
Look, he's already off to not a bad start. We got Sweeney Todd, one of my favorite musicals, West Side Story, one of my favorite musicals, but I feel like Ben and I enjoy these musicals for very different reasons. Like I said before, I love Sweeney Todd not just for the music, but because of the political ideology that the musical inherently holds. Same thing with West Side Story. I don't understand why Ben Shapiro likes this musical. He hates immigrants. This whole musical is about the immigrant experience.
The movie version, by the way, is great. Like, very few of these Broadway musicals transferred over well to film. West Side Story transferred over beautifully to film. I prefer the original version to the Steven Spielberg remake.
Weird.
How old is Ben Shapiro? 41 years old. We got a video of a 41-year-old dude making fun of a 23-year-old girl. Talk about weird. That's Ben Shabibo. He's the weirdest dude I've ever seen in my life. I also think his attacks on Rachel Zegler are just inherently funny because this is the guy that got so mad that Snow White wasn't gonna be white in the new movie that he decided to use his film production company at the Daily Wire to make his own Snow White movie with then Daily Wire employee Brett Cooper, who no longer works there, probably because she knew that this bankruptcy was gonna happen and jumped ship just in time. That movie is never gonna see the light of day. So yet again, Ben Shapiro has failed at making movies. Rachel Zegler, like 5, Ben Shapiro, 0.
Puerto Ricans grumble, fair fight, but if they start a rumble, we'll rumble them right.
Oh, dude. Oh, he's so cringe. Oh, he's so fucking cringe. If this was anybody else other than Ben Shapiro, I would not care about the singing along. It's kind of charming, right? But it's this fucking demon. It's this demon doing it. And it makes it so fucking cringe. How can anybody look at Ben Shapiro and think anything other than this is the cringiest person I've ever seen in my life? Look at this dumb smirk he has on his face while listening to these white dudes sing about how they're gonna beat up the Puerto Rican people.
Okay, now to one of my personal favorites, and this is 1776.
Disgusting. Of course Ben Shapiro loves 1776. But you know what historic piece of musical theater that's about the exact same topic that Ben Shapiro hates? I'll let you take a guess, and we'll come back to it later. Look, 1776, some people love it, some people hate it. I personally don't like it. My mom loves 1776, but I don't give a fuck about the founding fathers. So I do want to know Ben Shapiro's opinion on the recent revival of 1776 that was made with mostly black and trans women. I bet you he fucking hated it. I wonder why. Also, apparently it got terrible reviews, and I didn't see it, so you can't take my word for it. But apparently it sucked. But I also just think the show sucks in general, so.
Of the originals, and it's actually on our list, so you'll see a lot.
South Pacific is next on our list, so you'll see a lot of Rodgers and Hammerstein on my list. Rodgers and Hammerstein are the best.
South Pacific, that is an interesting pick for Ben Shapiro, considering it is in a very passive liberal way an anti-racist show. And Ben Shapiro, as we've discussed, is a racist person. But I'm also not surprised that Ben Shapiro loves the musical that takes place in the South Pacific with mostly white characters.
But to me, the best number in the musical of South Pacific is not any of the big romance numbers, which of course are great, and people know them, right? Some Enchanted Evening, for example. But the best number in the show is There's Nothing Like a Dame, which is a really brash number, basically about a bunch of horny guys away for World War II, and they got no girls. And so...
Cut that out! This ain't that kind of a play!
The jokes write themselves. This is his favorite number in the musical. The one with the horny dudes where there's no women, so they're basically fucking each other. But Ben is totally straight. He's a totally straight dude.
This is a truly funny, like, laugh out loud number. There's Nothing Like a Dame. And so it's totally worth checking out.
It's a truly funny laugh out loud number. So suppose a dame ain't bright, or completely free from flaws, or as faithful as a bird dog, or as kind as Santa Claus. It's a waste of time to worry over things they have not. Be thankful for the things they got. There's nothing like a dame, nothing in the world. There's nothing you can name that is anything like a dame. That is so funny. That is laugh out loud comedy right there. The funniest musical theater song I've ever heard in my entire life. Fuck you, Stephen Sondheim. Okay, Ben, whatever you say, buddy.
Folks, we'll get to more of my favorite Broadway musicals. Yes, I'm straight, guys, I know.
He's straight, guys. He's 100% straight. He's super straight. He's so straight that he's got a wife and kids. Ben Shapiro is so straight that he hates gay people. That's how straight Ben Shapiro is.
Okay, the most moving musical Rodgers and Hammerstein ever wrote is a musical called Carousel.
Carousel's a good musical. I enjoy Carousel. That's a fine pick. Good on you, buddy.
Next up on our list is Gypsy, a bizarre musical in the sense that it is about a topic that, you know, you're not really gonna love.
What does that mean? It's about a topic that you're not really gonna love? Is it because she's a stripper? Or is it because it's about, like, stage moms? What does he mean, topic that you're not gonna love? Why do you love the musical if you're not gonna love the topic of the musical? How the fuck does that make any sense? Ben Shapiro just really, really identifies with Mama Rose.
Every song is brilliant. Stephen Sondheim did the lyrics on this. This has some of my favorite lyrics of all time. There's a song called Wherever We Go.
I hate when me and Ben Shapiro agree on something, because I do agree with him that the lyrics in Gypsy are some of the greatest musical theater lyrics ever written. Now, this next one is specifically the reason why I wanted to make this video in the first place, because I don't think Ben Shapiro fundamentally understands this musical at all.
Alrighty, Fiddler on the Roof. So Fiddler on the Roof, of course, is a classic.
If I were a rich man.
As an Orthodox Jew, I have some problems with Fiddler ideologically because the kind of basis of Fiddler on the Roof is that Judaism is about traditions that you don't understand, but you just keep doing them.
Traditions for everything. How to sleep, how to eat, how to work, how to wear clothes.
Which I think is sort of the reverse of what Orthodox Jews tend to think about their religion, which is we spend an awful lot of time trying to figure out why we do what we do.
Ben Shapiro is a fucking idiot. He doesn't understand that the reason Tevye doesn't know or have time to think about why he's doing the traditions that he's doing, because he's a poor farmer. He is a poor, illiterate farmer. He has a whole song singing about how he wishes he could spend the time discussing the holy book with other people to try to understand his religion more, but he just doesn't have the time or the capabilities to do that. He fundamentally does not understand this musical. The show is not about how Jewish people don't know their religion or why they do the things they do. The show is about a poor dude who doesn't have the time to worry about that, because he has to worry about feeding his family and his daughters marrying and working constantly, because that's what he needs to do in order to support his poor family. The other thing that I think Ben Shapiro fundamentally doesn't understand about Fiddler on the Roof is it's about a story of native people being kicked out of their homeland. Something that is happening right now in Palestine that Ben Shapiro fully supports. You could literally put clips from Fiddler on the Roof with side-by-side video footage of what's happening right now in the West Bank, and there's quite literally no difference. No Other Land, which won Best Documentary at the Oscars, is quite literally about what is happening in the West Bank right now. People being kicked out of their homes being destroyed. And Ben Shapiro had this to say about it. Hollywood just handed an award to No Other Land, a documentary blaming Israel just a week after Palestinians celebrated the murder of toddlers. But of course, Hollywood's gonna Hollywood. These people are high on their own supply. Let's be real. The Palestinian Authority funds terrorists, Hamas controls Gaza, and every time Israel pulls back, terrorists take over. The only reason for Israel's military presence and checkpoints? Palestinian terrorism. And yet, in the wake of the worst massacres of Jews since World War II, the Academy is rewarding propaganda for terrorists. Just vile. Of course, completely ignoring the tens of thousands of people that have been murdered by Israel in Palestine. So yeah, I think Ben Shapiro fundamentally does not understand Fiddler on the Roof, one of the shows that he claims to be his favorite of all time.
The best number from the show is one that almost never gets played. A number that the second daughter does when her to-be husband has been exiled for being a revolutionary, and she's going to follow him basically into exile. And she sings this song to Tevye called Far From the Home I Love, which is a great number.
What kind of revolutionary, Ben? What kind of revolutionary is Perchik? Is he a capitalist revolutionary? Is he a conservative revolutionary? No. One of the good guys of the musical that is fighting against the oppressive forces that are trying to kick them out of their home is a communist revolutionary. Ben Shapiro does not understand Fiddler on the Roof. I could make an entire video just discussing this exact topic. And if you want to see it, let me know in the comments, because I absolutely and totally would make this video.
Okay, my final pick for my favorite musicals, My Fair Lady.
Okay, he likes My Fair Lady. Good for you, Ben Shapiro. I have no comment on that one either. Now that we've gone through Ben Shapiro's favorite musicals of all time, and we've kind of uncovered that he really knows nothing about musical theater in general, let's take a look at what he thinks are the most overrated musicals of all time.
Alrighty, folks, so a few weeks ago, I did a video on my favorite Broadway musicals of all time, but I was inundated with requests for my least favorite, or at least most overrated, Broadway musical.
I was inundated with comments. Shows 3.
Let's go with what was, at the time, the longest running musical in the history of Broadway, Cats, by Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Wow, shocker. One of the most hated musicals of all time, Ben Shapiro hates. Yeah, I got no comment on this one. There are some things I enjoy about Cats, but overall, it's not my favorite musical of all time. We can agree on this one, Ben. I do think it is really funny, though, that one of Donald Trump's favorite songs of all time is Memory from Cats. Also, I think when Trump was taking over the Kennedy Center, he said he wanted more anti-woke musicals and gave Cats as an example of it. Which is actually really funny, because woke drag queen Cats, something that people are saying makes the show so much better, is officially coming to Broadway. So, good luck on anti-woke Cats.
Next terrible musical, wildly overrated, Rent. Again, the best thing about Rent is the parody that is done of Rent in Team America.
Of course Ben Shapiro hates Rent. It's a musical about everything that Ben Shapiro despises. Gay people, drag queens, homeless people, poor people, communists, socialists, anarchists, people with AIDS, and the main antagonist of the musical is a landlord. No fucking shit, Ben Shapiro hates it. I would be absolutely shocked if Ben Shapiro liked Rent in the first place. Look, you can not like Rent and be a totally fine person. Lindsay Ellis made a whole video about how she doesn't like Rent, and I think it's a good video. I disagree and think she's wrong with a lot of the things that she says in that video. Again, I could make a whole video myself talking about that. If that's something you guys want to see, let me know in the comments. But Ben Shapiro hates it because it's about things that he hates. Evidenced by the fact that he provides no criticism on it other than, it's bad, I hate it, how did this win awards, and it's a musical about the disenfranchised. Like, that's it. That's all he says.
Now, speaking of pop crap, Dear Evan Hansen, wildly overrated. You'll notice, by the way, that all of these were dramatic failures when it came to making a film of them.
I think me and Ben Shapiro agree yet again. I also don't like Dear Evan Hansen. I like some of the music, but I hate the story and I hate the script. Point Ben Shapiro on that one. Good job, Ben Shapiro. You're finally right on something, and it's about musical theater. How's that make you feel?
It has one of the worst plots of any Broadway musical. So basically, it's about a kid who is not well accepted and has some sort of near autistic condition.
Near autistic condition. Motherfucker, he has social anxiety. Near autistic condition, bro. What the fuck? That's the funniest way that he could have put that. That's really funny. As somebody who has autism and social anxiety, you're right on the money there, Ben.
He ends up confronted at the beginning of the musical with an angry, suicidal teenager who signs his cast for some reason, and then the teenager commits suicide, and then he lies because he wants to get in good with the sister of this kid. So he is a liar and a grifter and a con man who ends up taking sexual advantage of the sister of the person who committed suicide.
I think Ben Shapiro just described himself. Maybe not the last part. Legally, I can't say the last part. But those first three things, liar, grifter, con man, 100% describe you, Ben. Motherfucker is just mad that he saw himself in Evan Hansen. Yeah, he's right about something. It's not a great plot to a musical, and in my opinion, does more damage to people with mental illness than it does help.
Hamilton by Lin-Manuel Miranda. Now, I know some people have just an addiction to Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Lin-Manuel Miranda. Yeah, of course Ben Shapiro doesn't like Hamilton. Loves 1776, but hates Hamilton.
Here's the thing about Lin-Manuel Miranda. He cannot write a melody.
1776.
First of all, I don't think Ben Shapiro understands what Lin-Manuel was trying to do with this. A lot of the musical themes throughout the show are references to hip-hop history. Combining hip-hop history with the history of the Founding Fathers was quite literally the point of creating the show in the first place. And Ben Shapiro doesn't understand that. I also think it's really funny that he used the Ben Folds cover of Bitches Ain't Shit to prove his point.
Also, his supposed lyrical genius is very simple to do. I'm just telling you, having looked at lyrics all my life and written some lyrics myself.
Is he talking about that fucking horrible rap song that he wrote? Like genuinely terrible rap song? Does he think that it's just about rhyming words?
The easiest lyrics to write are ones that are polysyllabic. If you have long lines of patter, very, very easy to fill those long lines of patter. And that's sort of Lin-Manuel Miranda's specialty, is this very fast-paced patter in his lyrics. That's all of Hamilton.
No, motherfucker, that's just rap music. Good hip-hop and rap music is not easy to write. But I also think this is really funny because the things that he was praising Stephen Sondheim for doing in the video that we just looked at are the things that he's now condemning Lin-Manuel Miranda for doing and saying that it's easy. Does he not know any Sondheim patter songs? The real reason he doesn't like it is because DEI woke. DEI woke Founding Fathers, and it's stupid and it's dumb, and I hate rap music and I hate the show because it's the things that I hate.
So much of this musical is reliant, again, on that sort of Lin-Manuel Miranda patter, 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 patter. I find this stuff deeply annoying. As you know, I'm not a big fan of rap, despite being one of the great rap artists of our own time. And so Lin-Manuel Miranda, if you can say that Gershwin sort of brought jazz to the classical music hall, then you can say Lin-Manuel Miranda brought rap to Broadway. And I'm not a fan, not a fan. Here is some of Hamilton. Sing it, hum it to me, hum it to me. Does that sound like Some Enchanted Evening to you?
He's just mad that it's rap. He's like, oh, I can't hum the tunes. I can't hum the music. That means it's bad. Meanwhile, Stephen Sondheim has talked repeatedly about how saying that you can't hum a tune is probably the lowest form of criticism that somebody could give a piece of musical theater.
There's not a tune you can hum. There's not a tune you go bum, 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 dee dum. You need a tune to go bum, 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 dee dum. Give me some melody.
The guy that he was praising in the other video. Like, he doesn't know what he's talking about, thus proving my point of the entire video.
Really? Like, the lack of melody in Lin-Manuel Miranda's work really bothers me in a major way. Broadway is about hummable melodies in the end. There's not much hummable.
No, it's not! This guy's idea of art is so single-minded and baby-brained. Because that's how Ben Shapiro thinks. Because he has the mind of a baby. And he appeals to people whose critical thinking skills don't go any higher than a third grade level.
And now here is the heresy of all heresies. You ready for it? You knew it was coming. Overrated. Les Mis. Now again, I actually don't hate Les Mis.
Yeah, okay, cool. He doesn't like Les Mis. Don't really have much to say about that. I like Les Mis. But the one thing I will say about Ben Shapiro not liking Les Mis that I think is just really, really funny is that the clip that I played at the beginning of the video of him singing Stars was in response to somebody asking him a philosophy question on whether he would steal a loaf of bread to feed his family.
Okay, Daniel writes, Dear Ben, as I'm learning about ethics, I'd like to get your input on where you stand. Would you steal a piece of bread to feed your family? Would you steal a piece of bread to feed your family? Why or why not? Well, Daniel, I can really only think of one way to answer this, and it's in musical form, so I think we're going to have to do that.
And his response was to sing the song of the main villain of the show who's trying to hunt this dude down precisely because he stole a loaf of bread. Ben Shapiro admits to being the villain every single chance he gets. Oh my god, he's a crazy man. Anyway, Ben Shapiro is a loser, something you probably already knew, but he's also a theater kid, something that you probably might not have known about until this video, and if you didn't, I am so sorry. Anyway, I can't listen to Ben Shapiro's voice any longer. It gets grating after 5 minutes, and I've been recording for about an hour. So yeah, that's gonna be it for me today. If you like this video, don't forget to click like and subscribe if you think I should be nominated to be People Magazine's Sexiest Man Alive for the year 2025. This week's Funny Boy of the Week goes to Freddy Fazbear for sending me this meme. I didn't know Freddy Fazbear was a fan of the videos, so congratulations, Freddy Fazbear. If you want to be Funny Boy of the Week, all you have to do is follow me on Instagram and DM me a meme or a TikTok or anything you think is funny. And if I think it's funny, then you could potentially be Funny Boy of the Week. My chair is sinking. This whole time, I think I've just been steadily getting shorter and shorter throughout the video. You can follow me on all of my other social medias, including my Letterboxd and my Twitter. And if you want to become a bigger part of this community, you can join my Discord. The links for all of those are in the description down below. I'm Connor McDowell, and I'm gonna go watch the Minecraft movie and post a video about it on Friday. So if you've made it this far, keep an eye out for Friday when I make my video about the Minecraft movie. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
The flames,
The sword.